you go from writing, being published by a publisher, and then you make the huge quantum leap to Hadrosaur Productions. What compelled you to make that move? That's a huge jump from writer to author to now I'm owning my own publishing production company. What made you make that big jump?
So for me, the two really actually go back to the beginnings of when I really started writing novels. And this all has to, it was kind of something that it has to do with the way the company was working for a long time. The company itself actually started when my wife was in graduate school at the University of Arizona. And this was back in the 90s. And she was in an entrepreneurship program. And we talked about what kind of company could she start. And we talked about, what are you really passionate about? And what she was passionate about was publishing. And we thought, what would be a really innovative idea at the time in the early 90s was audio publishing. So what we actually did for our very first project was the very first book in this whole Space Pirates Legacy series was The Pirates of Sufira, which I wrote back around that time. And we got a whole bunch of my coworkers together from Kitt Peak National Observatory, and we actually recorded the book, on cassette tapes.
Oh, wow.
And started distributing this thing at science fiction conventions. And, quite frankly, we didn't have the money, the expertise to really do this right. I think there were, we made some fans because I think a lot of people just kind of love this little, fan-made, homemade kind of approach to things. But soon after that, I ended up getting with a publisher who took on Pirates, and then from there, it had been in book format since then. So what became of the company was we thought, well, we would continue this sort of audio wing of the company. And we decided that what we would do was we would create a showcase for authors that we might publish in audio. And this became an anthology called Hadrosaur Tales, for Hadrosaur Productions. And what happened was the anthology, which ultimately became essentially a magazine, ended up taking on a whole life of its own. And so we did Hadrosaur Tales as a science fiction and fantasy magazine for 10 years. And then around that time was when I actually met Jacqueline Druga of LBF Books.
Right.
And I was talking to her, I was talking to Nick Johns, who was the art director at the time, and we said, I have this little magazine, it's just a little digest kind of thing, let's actually put some effort into this and do it right. And so the whole thing got reformatted as Tales of the Talisman magazine. And we did that for 10 years. And, after 20 years of doing magazines, I said, okay, the magazines are great, but I want to take this company to another level. It's kind of like the magazines are taking all of my time that I'm not writing, and I want to showcase people better. And that's when we really made the transition into publishing other authors, such as you, such as such as David Riley, such as Laura Givens, it's like
right.
Really, Don Braden, and just wanting to give people a chance, and to continue doing anthologies, which again our anthologies have done really well. Like the Kepler anthologies I've done with Steve Howell from NASA, and these are just perennial sellers, and I think I'm glad to be doing that.
Awesome. It's funny because I didn't realize that Tales of the Talisman was your magazine until much later on, because that was when it was with LBF, because that was the first thing I ever got published. Was my first short story was in that magazine.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And I still have the 2 copies up in my room.
Excellent. Which issue were you in? I need to make.
I have to go back and dig them up. But it was back like in 2005 or 2006. I
Excellent.
remember because you had to upload it to this thing on their website, and then you could go back and check every couple of days. I'm like, it's never gonna work. I'm never gonna get accepted. I'm like, oh my God.
No,
Yeah, but that's great. I love that. There was some great stuff in that magazine. I love that.
no, it was great, and I got to work with so many people, and a lot of them have gone on to some great success. I mean, there's people like Beth Cato and Neil Asher, and it's just like the fact that these guys are like people that you walk into Barnes and Noble and see on the shelf, is
Wow.
a real honor to me that they have moved on to that kind of level.
That is amazing. You have got like a huge, robust, powerful history in this. And it kind of makes sense to take that next step.